listening to the all new Blessed Beats Radio, and you're tuned into the Not So Christian in Me show, the show that is faith based, edgy, and funny, where we let everything out on the table without shame and a no judgment zone, so that we are able to help each other be better Christians. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise.
And I'm your co-host, Kyra Harris.
And I'm your co-host, OBJ Elba.
What's up? What's up? How you guys doing out there? Happy Mother's Day. You guys are tuned into the Not So Christian to Me show, and I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise. And today we have a special guest. His name is Mr. Eddie Stallworth, and he's a financial advisor, and we're going to be talking about all about finances today and how to survive in today's crisis. How you doing, Mr. Stallworth?
Doing great today. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for joining me today.
Good. Yeah.
How's
I
everything going?
appreciate being here. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Everything
No
is
problem.
everything is going well. I'm excited to be here today and to talk about some things that I think will, matter to people, I hope. Let's, I'm just here to help.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you. We always can use a helping hand during this time. Well, before we get started, I always ask my guests to play a little game and just to get you guys warmed up and the audience warmed up as well. So today's game is tell two truth and one lie. So I want you to think about two truth and one lie, and I have to guess which one is a lie.
Okay. First thing is, I know that you're the rapper on your introduction. Second is my office is extremely organized now that I cleaned it up for this interview. And the third is, let's see, I am looking forward to going outside with no mask and have a good time this Mother's Day.
Oh, that was an easy one. I'm gonna go with number 3 that you talked about going outside with no mask on. So I know that's a lie, right? Is that the lie?
That's a lie.
Oh, okay. That was an easy one. That was an easy one right there. Yeah, I know you're not gonna risk that at all.
No. No, common
Yeah.
sense rules better than that. It informs me better than that.
Right. Well, next up, we have our Blessing of the Week segment. And what we do, we always ask our guests to think of one blessing of the week that they would like to share. So, Mr. Stallworth, which one is your blessing?
Wow. There are a lot of blessings that happened this week. But the biggest blessing that I can think of is in the middle of everybody, all these people in the country who are having problems making ends meet and really having to go back to work and not really knowing what's going to, how they're going to be affected at work. I'm blessed that I don't have to do that. My wife and I work from home, so we are not having to make a decision like that. So that's a huge blessing for us.
Oh, yes, definitely. That's a huge blessing. And speaking of your blessing, that brings me to my blessing. My blessing of the week is being able to position myself financially. So I'm blessed to be able to be in a position, which leads me to this week's scripture of the week. And this week's scripture of the week comes from Philippians 4:19. And my God will meet all your needs according to his glorious riches in Jesus Christ. And this scripture it pretty much describes how we as Christians can overcome our worries and worldly desires regardless of our circumstances, because God is going to see us through no matter what. So I can definitely reflect to that scripture for this week.
Cool.
And if you guys would like to submit your prayer requests, you can click on the link in our chat box to submit your prayer requests. All right, so now that we got all our praises out the way, let's talk about Mr. Eddie Stallworth. So for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am president and founder of Phalanx Financial Solutions Group. And what we do is we are a company that really thinks different. We challenge the status quo. So our sweet spot is really helping our clients to be educated about the difference between money and wealth, and two, positioning them to be able to enjoy a retirement on an income that they actually don't have to report to the Internal Revenue Service, because the biggest obstacle and the biggest wealth transfer that can possibly happen in a person's life is actually taxation. So we have learned a way to move around that, and we help our clients do it every day.
Okay, repeat that last part about the taxes. Tell us a little bit about that. Repeat that again. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, what we have developed is a strategy. Yes, I can. What we have done is we have developed a strategy to help our clients to move around the regulations with the Internal Revenue Service, that they could enjoy an income where they, if they've gone some traditional routes, mitigate, and in some cases, depending on what they've done over time, completely eliminate having to report their income on a 1040,
Okay.
um, so that their income is a net income and that they're not subject to taxation in the future in an environment that they know nothing about.
So you pretty much educate them on the different ways that they can file and
Yeah,
not
well,
be
not in different ways that they can file. We
Mhm.
use products. We
Okay.
use a life insurance product in some very unique ways that's built specifically to help them to accomplish those things that they want to accomplish
Hmm.
um, in terms of taxation and their income. The problem with everything is that we have been sold and socialized on a situation or on products that really is not for our benefit, it's really for the benefit of our taxing authorities. So not like
Mm.
in 1986, like in 1986 when they came up with all the 400 regulations in the Internal Revenue Code. That's what we know as 401, 403, 409, 457. um, they did that with a caveat. We will let you put money in now without paying taxes. We'll let it grow tax deferred, and you only pay tax on the amount when it comes out. Which on the surface, if you're a consumer, it sounds good. I don't want to I want to eliminate as many taxes as I possibly can. However, what they don't tell you is they will allow you to not pay tax on money in an environment that you know about, only to have a very large amount, in some cases, according to people's habits, saving habits, that's totally exposed to taxes in an environment that you know anything about, because they
Hmm.
don't tell you what the taxes are going to be. They only
Mm.
You can only see what the taxes are. And the truth of the matter is our country right now, as of the 1st of January, was in $23 trillion worth of debt. This is a
Wow.
$22 trillion economy, but they were $23 trillion in debt. Okay, until somewhere around March, when they added another $2 trillion in a stimulus package, which means that as of now, they are $25 trillion in debt, and that money's got to come from somewhere. And where do you
Hmm.
think the government is going to get it? They're going to either tax you, they'll tax the rich, they'll tax the middle class, they'll cut benefits for the lower class, and they'll print money in order to build up, the amount of flow that's in the system, which all we all know is inflation. Or they're going to do a combination of the three. So if you could put yourself in a position where at least two of those three things doesn't happen to you, would that make sense?
Definitely. Yes, it definitely makes sense. How did they get in so much debt?
They got in debt because it's sort of like I'm from Houston. My hometown
Okay.
is Houston, Harris County, and this is just an example. We have a toll road system in Houston, Harris County now, and when we first built it, we were told that we're only going to levy the tolls for as long as it takes for us to pay for the project, right?
Hmm.
But they got a good taste of the money, and they have not walked away from it since. As a matter of fact, they just increased the tolls just recently.
Mm.
So, it's the same thing with the government. In 1913, in order to finance a war, World War One, the U.S. government came up with an idea called the Internal Revenue Code income tax in order to finance the war. And it was only supposed to be temporary until the war was over. Well, here we are from 1913 to 2020, and we still have tax.
Yeah.
And the tax over that period, if you did an average from one to the end, has been about 57% over those years. So, it's like anything else. I say, the government on taxes like a drug addict on crack. They can't get enough. They hook.
Yeah.
So they're not going to ever not charge taxes because it's just a revenue stream now that is engrafted in. So what they started to do is like anybody else that got a bunch of money that they don't know what to do with, and they have no budget and they have nothing else to do with it,
Hmm.
do with the money, they start spending it. And then as they start spending it, they have opportunities in other places to borrow money and to leverage money and, to move into the sophisticated world of finances. What we call it is credit, right? So just like we have credit cards, so does the government. So
Hmm.
they've charged and they've charged and they've charged and they've charged. And they ran short and they robbed Peter to pay Paul, Peter being the Social Security trust. They robbed Peter to pay Paul. And it went on and on and on. Well, what happened is they got to a point they couldn't continue to make the payments. So those payments started to move to the back end of the total debt of the country, and interest increases. As the interest has increased, eventually the amount of money that it would take in order to pay everything off exceeds their ability to do it. So, just as an example, we talked about January 1. As of January 1, in order to pay off every single dollar of debt that this country has amassed, every taxpayer would need to give up $878,000 in
Wow.
order to pay it off. Okay, well, here's something else you don't know about. In the state of Texas, every taxpayer to pay the Texas debt would have to come up with 12 grand, and in the city of Houston, 11 grand. Okay, Houston,
Mm.
Harris County, 11 grand just to pay off the debt so that the city comes back to zero. So all in all, if we all were to say we want to get out of debt today, just pay the credit card off, each and every person who's a taxpayer in this country would have to come up with just under $1 million.
Mm. So we pretty much will never be out of debt. The government,
It's like a
mm,
it's like a student loan.
right? You never stop playing on it. Never stop playing on it.
Yeah.
That is so
So,
true.
but there are certain ways that you can position yourself or move away from that being your reality, and position yourself in your money in a place that is according to Internal Revenue Service codes regulations, tax regulations. Your money could be treated in a certain way where it does not be, it's not recognized as taxable, but actually, as a matter of fact, you wouldn't even have to report it.
Oh wow! So tell us about these different ways that can help people to get through this time of crisis. Because some people, lost their jobs and they need another way to,
Yeah,
earn income or set themselves up, for the future. So tell us about those different
yeah.
ways.
Well, one big way, and this country is built on it, is small business. Anytime that you can have a business that you have your name on, and that's your name with your social security number,
Hmm.
is something that you do specifically that creates money, whether it could be a multi-level marketing company, it could be travel business, it could be anything that you do uniquely to you. Yeah, it uniquely to you. It would provide you with a stream of income, and that income would be different from the type of income that you get at your job, from the standpoint of taxes, because the tax code that this country has is really geared toward business ownership, entrepreneurship, and investors. So what you own, that you can get favorable tax treatment on. But if as an employee, and I don't down employment at all, I don't
Hmm.
down that at all. But as an employee, uh, you are you're renting yourself, your energy, and your time for X amount of dollars. And there are no write offs that you have outside of maybe your children and the interests of your home. Whereas as a business owner, even if you run it side by side and employment, your business will allow you to have over 400 tax deductions that you don't enjoy now as a W 2 employee. Plus, the taxing structure is different in terms of how they determine how much tax you're going to pay
Okay.
in that scenario.
That's really
So,
good.
just to give you an idea, if a person is working a job, yeah,
Mhm.
if a person works a job, then if you're making 50, 60, 70, $80,000, you're going to fall pretty much in a 21 to 28% tax bracket. Effective rate maybe 12 to 15%. But if you're a company owner, or you are investor in real estate or stocks and bonds or things like that, then you can have a 10, 15, well, 15 or 20% capital gain
Mhm.
over and above, what you put into it. The amount of money that you make, you'll pay 20% on, 15 to 20% on, as opposed to, 28, 25, 28, that type of thing. So it's an advantage to you.
Now I know there's
Everybody should have a business in America.
that's true. That's true. And that's how the America was designed like that, for everybody to,
Right.
have their own business. Um,
Right.
when it comes to investments, I know there's a lot of different ways people can invest. What would be considered a good investment? Because there's a lot of companies out here that, you may not want to invest in. So what do you think would be the top investment opportunities?
That's a difficult question for me to answer. Number one, I am not a financial advisor in terms of Wall Street side of things.
Okay.
The reason I say that is not that I don't know it, is I'm not licensed to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Uh, but I will tell you that if a person has a whole life insurance policy and they have cash value in it, they could
Mhm.
really be taking advantage of the down market that we're in right now. Because if you have ready cash, this is the season that you want to go shopping because everything is on sale.
Right. That's so true.
Okay.
Everything is lower than usual. That's so true.
Everything is on sale. It's on. People are selling things because they want to create money, so
Right.
they're selling things cheap. There's a fire sale out there almost.
That's so true. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, I'm talking to Mr. Eddie Stallworth about finances. Feel free to drop a message in our chat box below, or if you prefer to call instead, you can do so at this time. The number is 832-271-0085. We're going to keep the conversation going. So we're going to talk about some more services that you provide. What are some more services that you provide?
Well, besides the retirement planning, we talk to companies. We do a company valuation. We can accomplish that for you. We could provide you with some strategies toward how to protect your business in case you lose or how to hold on to your key employees, or how to preserve your business in case of an untimely passing of one of the principals of the company. How to do a buy sell, what's called buy sell agreements, or even key man or key person protection, things that would help a business owner and even an individual to position themselves where they are protected in case things happen unexpectedly.
Okay, I see you do quite a bit. Now, where do you get the most clients from? Which one of those?
It's pretty equal,
Okay.
because people, we are once we start talking about life insurance, everybody thinks about life insurance from the standpoint of a death benefit. Well, when you die, you leave some money to your family. Most of our clients, though, are very surprised to find out that life insurance is one of the major forces out there, particularly if you have no wealth or have not had wealth.
Mhm.
It's a great way to leverage a little money to toward a greater amount of money to build wealth and a legacy for your family that you can actually pass on in such a way that they are not disadvantaged on the tax side. Because we real good at that. We can get houses and cars and land and everything. And when one person passes on, when the person passes on, it goes to the next generation. They got to sell off everything that was passed on just to pay, the expenses that were left behind.
Right.
But what if that were not the case? What if all those expenses were already taken care of? That means that those assets could be passed on without a tax burden and without an expense burden, and then the next generation actually could start where the last generation left off instead of starting over where the first generation was.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't
So
even
it's a great wealth building tool.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't look at it that way, but that's so very true. And then a lot of people don't even think about life insurance until when they have to get it, like when it's an emergency versus planning ahead. But a lot of people don't like to plan ahead, and I wonder why people don't. Do you know why people
Right.
don't want to look into life insurance until it's
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
late?
Yeah. Number one is the psychology behind it. The fact that life insurance has, even though it's called life insurance,
Yeah.
is connected to death, which is a negative event in a person's
Mhm.
life. So nobody really wants to talk about death. Okay.
Right.
And that's where we have to change the narrative. Is the way that we've been socialized. Not the professionals in the industry as well as the consumers in the industry have all been socialized pretty much the same way by the insurance companies that put the products out. But life insurance is not about death, it's actually about life. And the original usage of life insurance before 1986, when they started to really change the laws, life insurance was really about it having a tax shelter. The
Yeah.
death benefit was just a side benefit, it wasn't even the main deal. So, back in those days, you could have $1,000 policy with $1 million cash in it. And the federal government decided that that was too much money that they were losing that they couldn't touch. So they decided to put a limit on the amount that you can put into a life insurance policy. And if you put more than that, it becomes something else that's taxable. However, they introduce other programs that will allow you to, save money. But at the end of it all, that money would be fully accessible by by the federal government and the Internal Revenue Service for taxes. I talk about taxes a lot because
Mhm.
it's the biggest animal out there that no one ever talks about, but it hurts us tremendously. It hurts us tremendously. So, that is an approach that is used. Now, am I saying that life insurance is an investment sector of its own? No, it's not. What I'm saying is that those other things that you do out there are very good. Real estate is good. Stocks and bonds are good, but understand that you have to manage the taxation on them, and you shouldn't put yourself in a position where everything that you have will be taxable. And by the way, let me add. If you make so much money out of your 401k or your 403b or your 457 or your other income, did you know part of your Social Security could become taxable as well?
Oh no, I didn't know
And that's
that. I'm sure a lot of people
and
didn't
that's
know that.
and that's supposed to be a tax-free benefit. But if
Mm.
you make a threshold, and I think that threshold is on a national average 40 grand out of your retirement, then as a W-2 employee, up to 85% of whatever that Social Security would be could be exposed to taxation. Not that they tax you 85%, but they will tax 85% of it would be exposed to taxation. That's huge. That
Mhm.
means every bit of money that you have coming in, Uncle Sam is living in your house with you. And they don't tell you how much it's going to be. I mean, it is 28% now. Top end is 41%, I believe, last time I checked. But what if the taxes go up to 55%? That means that you could typically have, at a certain amount of money come in, you could have 55 cents of every dollar of your retirement money going to Uncle Sam. Does that
Mm.
really make sense?
It does not.
Then
Wow.
that's just hypothetical. I'm not saying that's what the taxes are going to be.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're going to be because they hadn't said it. But I do know this: we are $25 trillion in debt, and that bill will come due. So where you think they're going to get the money?
Hmm. Taxpayers, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
We will never
And
stop paying taxes.
here, here's another fun thing. Um, Social Security, when it first started, as part of the New Deal, 13 people for every one person that was taken out, 13 people were putting in. Now it's a little closer to 2 to 3 people putting in, one person taking out.
Hmm.
The largest generation right now is the baby boomers, and Gen X. And by 2045, there will be 140 million people who are at age 65 of those two generations that will never, and they're voters, they will never vote against their Social Security. They want their benefit.
Right.
So if you were born after 1982, guess what? You get to foot that bill.
Mm,
That's not funny. That's not funny.
but
It's
I
not
get what
funny.
you're
But
saying.
when I talk to my clients, I have one client. She's born in 1985, and when I told her that, you could have you could have bought her for a penny. I'd never seen an expression just drop from someone's face because she saw the magnitude of what was coming her way.
Mhm.
And the answer is, if you could reposition your money to where your income, you don't have to report it on a 1040, means it's not exposed to taxation. Would that not make sense? Now, as a caveat, you could also have a Roth IRA. The problem with a Roth IRA is it has requirements on it. It has income limits, so if you're making a certain amount of money, you can't put in it, and they limit the amount that you can invest. I think it's 5,500 until you're 50, and then you can put another thousand in it a year, 6,500. And for most people, that's really not going to answer their issue. It's not
Mhm.
going to be enough. So the Roth is a good option if you can have the Roth, but run it alongside of of something else like a whole life insurance policy. And understand, not just a whole life for the sake of whole life.
Yeah.
It really needs to be the type of product that is built to run in a certain way that gives you the type of cash return that you need. And it's like this. If you buy a car, whether it's a Honda or a Ferrari, they're both vehicles get you from point A to point B. They all have the same mechanisms in them. Everything that makes up a Honda makes up a Ferrari. However, because of the philosophy of the builder of those two cars, they actually perform two different ways, right?
Mhm.
So same thing with life insurance, whole life particularly. Term is renting a face value, so it's nothing really to it. But when you're talking about having some teeth in it, you don't want a whole life insurance policy that's built for economy. You want one that's built to run. And this is where we make the difference. This is where we come in and help you determine and help you see how your advantage will be, and kind of advise you as to what kind of product and what product you want to really be involved in order to get to your goal.
Okay. Now, when it comes to life insurance, when it comes to children, do you suggest the children get their own separate life insurance, or the parents can just carry them with their life on top of their life insurance? How does that work?
A lot of people do what's called term riders for their children simply because it's an inexpensive way to provide some term coverage for your child until their age of majority, and that's primarily because it's inexpensive, but you want to have the protection there. Personally, yeah, I would. I don't think that you need like huge, hefty policies on children, but you could have their own policy and allow those policies to build. And one advantage to it all is, depending on how old your child is when they start, and the time window and what it is that they're going to do, your children actually could end up not having student loans because they could finance most of their stuff just using the
Okay.
cash for their policy. So whether that's part of the tuition, they may get scholarships and other things like that, but
Mhm.
definitely, you can help them to escape the scourge of student loans.
Okay. Now, for your services, like for financial advice, do you charge for someone to call you with a financial question?
No, we never charge a fee for our consultation. We don't want our clients to take the risk, financial risk, even in the advice that we give. However,
Mhm.
there are some services that we do have a small fee attached to, and that's if we put together a simple will for them, or and when I say a simple will, we're not practicing law. We use
Okay.
a promulgated form for that, or we do a very a simple business valuation that will give them some very good indications about what their company is worth.
Hmm.
Both of those are very small. You could have either service for 225. Um, and when we do that, it's just a value added. But as far as sitting down and talking to us about your goals and what you want to accomplish, and helping you put that together, that doesn't cost you anything. That's not a fee
Okay.
involved.
When you service clients, what philosophy do you stand on?
The philosophy I stand on is extraordinary service for extraordinary people. We
Okay, I like.
are we are high touch customer service. We provide great service. We like to have fluidity and transparency in our transactions. We want you to understand what you're doing, so that when hard times come, and they do, that you understand that this is something that you were doing for your future. So that'll be one of the last things that you want to get rid of. You know how times get hard, and the first thing they want to get rid of is their bills, and part of their bills is their insurance policy, right?
Right.
Not realizing that that is probably one of the worst things that you could possibly do. A life insurance policy probably should rank up there, and not probably, it should rank up there with your mortgage. So, because this is your future, and is how you're going to take care of some things in the future, utilizing the strength of the money within the policy. That, by the way, the government doesn't have any purview over, and you have no control. The only thing that you are limited by is the amount of money that's in it, and you can have pretty much anything that's in it at any time, and with for whatever reason.
Okay. Now, what do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Mm. Well, we are gearing up right now, and I'm excited. I hadn't talked too much about this. We have been really working on this in our back office, but since we've had this COVID-19 situation, we are taking our company. We're never going to leave sitting in someone's living room or sitting at the table. We could do that, but
Okay.
we are going virtual.
Oh,
Uh, we
good.
have we have the ability to go from our first contact on through our goal setting and fact finding, on through our application and underwriting, on through our delivery process. All of that can be done virtually.
Oh, good.
So we have the ability to touch people wherever they are, whenever. It just won't matter, and we'll be able to do it with live people. So you know how people talk to machines.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you'll actually be talking to an individual, because when you talk about a person's money and you talk about their future, they really want to see the person that they're talking to. But because of technology, we're actually able to interact pretty personally, even through technology, a lot like we're doing right now. So as I'm going through our process, you can see what I'm seeing. I'm not asking you questions. I have it on the screen. You're looking at it. You're asking questions. I'm making sure that you're comfortable with what we're doing. And we can do that from beginning to end, simply because we want to make things better, faster, and more efficient for our clients.
Okay. And I think COVID-19 actually been beneficial to a lot of companies.
Oh, it I won't call COVID-19 a blessing,
Right.
but I will say that some of the results that have come out of it, or because of it,
Mhm.
have been blessings.
That's good. So you see yourself doing more now virtual since
We're
this.
able we're able to do more for our clients faster, more effective, and still have that high quality of delivery of service, seamless delivery of service, as well as maintain a high level of personal customer service, high contact. We are still able to provide all of that, even though we are virtual.
Oh, wow, that's good. That's really good because a lot of people, they probably can't get to you as fast that with the scheduling, the conflict scheduling, and then with everything going on. So it's so much easier just
Hmm.
to get on a conference call like
Well,
this.
it's a little hard to sit in someone's living room when they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you're both wondering, okay, are you sick?
Yeah.
You know, people are just not comfortable today just accepting people, and particularly if you're not part of an immediate family,
Right.
into their homes or into their environments to even have this conversation. So, if we can do this
Hmm.
through technology, then it we're still in the same room. It's just that we are practicing social distancing.
Okay. Now, on a personal level, because I know a lot of people, they don't want to talk about finances with anybody. So, on a personal level, how can you make a person feel comfortable coming to you when they get to a financial situation?
Well, the thing about us is that
Hmm.
whatever it is that I'm talking to people and whatever we're doing is because I did it first for myself.
Okay.
Um, I I have practiced this thing for the last 20 years. And originally, I started like everyone else. I had the scripting and, hey, you can do this and do that and do this and do that. And, without a real understanding of what was going on. But as time has gone on and I've seen the results that has occurred in and even in some of our clients' lives, it has prompted me to do better, and in doing better, I sought better information. And in seeking better information, I found better answers. And so, I've spent a few years going back to old clients and eating crow and saying, hey, listen, I know I said this and this is, I wasn't misadvising you. It was the best information I had at the time. But this is a much better situation for you. And we have been actually shifting paradigms with our clients,
Okay.
our older clients, and the new clients. We take them there from the very beginning, and not to say that the information and the regulations and the laws won't change, because if they do, then we'll go back again and say, hey, okay, here's what this environment calls for, and this is what we need to do. Because I don't know where people get the idea that once you do something once, it's done. Life is always evolving. And so we evolve and we change with the environment and with the regulations as they are presented at the time. And we're not going to be shy about bringing bad news. So
Mhm.
I'm never going to be afraid to bring you news that you don't want to hear, especially if it's true. So, people they don't always like the truth, but they do always appreciate the truth.
That's true.
So yeah, so that's what makes us
Mhm.
us. And I don't want to. In our industry, people put down other people a lot. That's not what we do. We don't talk bad about other companies. We don't talk bad about other agents and agencies. But what I will say is, for us, if you sit and talk to us, you can rest assured that we're not driven by an insurance company or some company that produces a product, because we're an independent firm. Number two, that your best interest is always first and foremost in our mind, even above our own interest. Number three, that we're going to educate you so that you can make an educated decision. You might not be an expert, but you
Mhm.
will know enough about your plan that you can make a rational decision about the movements that we are recommending and that you need to make. Number four, you will be comfortable with the process before we move forward. And the rest is simply that, if you feel good about the product and you feel good about the service that we provide, we ask that you just refer us to other people like yourself who are like-minded. We want to work with people who believe what we believe, and
Mhm.
in that, um, enjoy the success in their life to the level that they're comfortable with.
That's good. That's good.
That's the
So
bottom line.
if they come to you with something that you can't assist them with, do you refer them to other people? Like, do you have other
Oh,
resources?
you remember? Yeah, you remember I said seamlessness of service.
Right.
We have seamlessness of service. So if someone comes to us and they need something that we don't provide,
Mhm.
we have relationships with people from CPAs to attorneys to to financial advisors that operate on Wall Street and so forth and so on that can actually put those things in place, and you'll feel that you're still working with us. That's how seamless the transition would be, because they have come into relationship with us, and they realize and have agreed to operate at the same level of quality and customer service that we do. So you, as a client, won't really feel the difference. You'll never
Okay.
feel, we'll never take our hands off of you where you feel alone. We're going to walk with you hand in hand all the way through every process.
Okay. We have a question just popped up in our chat box from Ms. Rita Stallworth. I'm sure you guys are related. How often should a person review their financial portfolio to determine if modifications are needed regarding retirement or life insurance? Very good question.
That's a great question. And that question is, actually, we do what's called annual reviews. Um, at least once a year, we're going to reach out and touch bases with you. We're going to talk to you about what it is that's going on in your life. We're going to evaluate whatever changes, and then we will make adjustments if need be, based upon those changes. Events like, or we'll see you sooner in case a major event happens, such as you decide to get married, or you have a child, or you have a change of job, or you start a business. All of those things now are things that we need to discuss, because all of those things need planning around them. Whether it's
Mhm.
something that we do right now, we want to at least start building the framework for some things that may be coming down the line. You remember you asked me a little bit earlier, where do I see myself in 5 years? We ask that question of every client that we have, because that determines whether we start in one place, but that means that now we have to build a framework for something else that's going to happen. So you're making, 50, 70, $80,000 here. You're looking in 5 years, you're going to be a millionaire. Well, you're not protected as a millionaire with $80,000 planning.
Okay.
So we have to go back in and set a framework. Okay, so when you get here, this is where this is going to be put in place. And when you get here, then we will develop that strategy. And you'll know what's going on. And then every year when we get together, you'll be like, well, okay, I'm at this place here right now, but I can see myself getting here. We probably need to start that planning that we did before. We need to start looking at that. And I'm like, that's great. Let's look and see what we have around now. What products are in place that maybe were not in place back then, that would, if what we talked about then doesn't better, is not your best suit, but we have
Mhm.
something newer that's going to be better for you, then we want to use the absolute best for your situation. And then we can move into the plan just with the things that are there. But we both know what's going to happen, and we both know how that's going to work out.
Okay. So how can we find you on social media?
Well, you can go to my website, www.phalanx, PHALANX, FSG, .com. And our name, I know, is different.
Mhm. Yeah, it
Um,
is.
the name Phalanx is a military term. If you ever saw the movie 300, the 300 Spartans that was in the narrow of the path, and they held off the 300,000 army by the interlocking of their shields. That that interlock of the shields is called the phalanx move. Um,
Okay.
our philosophy is we protect you from unnecessary loss due to market downturns and taxation. But at the same time, we also can be offensive in the market by attacking the market by just simply doing things that will maximize the amount of income that you have, or the amount of return on the money that you have,
Mhm.
that you can use to in order to build your wealth, and then protect it in a protective box. That's why it's called Phalanx. You can reach us also at 281 781 4027. That's You could always get me direct there. 832-779-7374. That's 832-779 PFSG. You could reach us there as well. Or if you go to the website, there's an email and a contact information in there. You can fill that out. It'll come directly to us, and we'll respond to you within 24 hours.
Okay, now before we let you go, I have one more segment and it's called But Thank God. I will read a sentence and you will fill in the blank. Are you up for the challenge? Before you
See, you didn't tell me
Yeah,
that
that's
when
one of
you.
the ones I never tell. I never tell before my
Okay.
show. I
All
never do
right.
that one.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the sentence. I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian. I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian.
uh, okay. Um, I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian. You're asking me to say something or to tell something that
Which this is gonna probably end up answering one of my questions that I had earlier, but I didn't get a chance to ask you. So go for it.
I
'Cause
was I was
I'm
going
gonna-
I was
I'm
going to do blank. Okay. Well, um, I had a gentleman one time who decided that he wanted to pop off at me
Mm,
in a public forum, and I was I was I was going to lay hands on him.
wow, and
Uh,
not in the spiritual
but
manner, huh?
no, no, it wasn't going to be nothing spiritual about it. It wasn't going to be spiritual. But thank God that I had a better mind.
That's so good. That's
So
so good. Thank God
yeah,
for your
yeah, that
time.
yeah, and that's just in the times that we're living in. That's just transparency. But yeah, we're all faced with those kinds of questions and in those types of situations, and I
Mhm.
think that we just need to keep our mind about us because it's not necessarily how what people do is really how we respond to it that affects
Respond.
us. Right.
And that's what it says in the Bible. It's not how you it's just all about how you respond. Don't worry about what they say. It's about how you respond from what they had
Mhm.
said. That's so true.
He's gonna
Well,
catch these anointed hands.
yes, exactly. Powerful. It can be very powerful. Well, there you guys have it. Thank God you're a Christian. Thank you so much, Mr. Stallworth, for being my guest today. We pray that God will continue to bless you in everything that you set your mind to do.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate being on the show with you.
No problem. You have all of our support here at the Not So Christian and Me show. Do you have any final thoughts or any shout outs before we depart today?
Yeah, in the middle of this, don't allow being shut in to feel unusually oppressive. My great grandmother and my grandmother as well taught me about common sense. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what people outside are doing, it doesn't matter what they say. Your common sense will change your life. It'll
So,
save your life. I mean, your common sense will save your life. So, regardless to what's going on, don't allow the circumstances that we're living in right now to wreak havoc on your emotions, on your mind unnecessarily. And also, don't just spend all your money just because you have it. Keep a little cushion. You
mhm.
don't have, people say 3 to 6 months. Most people don't have that. But if you can put three or four, five, $600 in a drawer somewhere, just in cash, it'll make you feel much better. Just from the standpoint, if there's a little emergency, you can put your hands on some money and do some things, and it'll take pressure off of you. That's
That's
about
so
it.
true. That's so true. Well, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in today. If you guys are interested in being a guest, sponsor, or even want to submit your music, be sure to reach out to us on Facebook at the Not So Christian and Me Show, or you can go to our Instagram page, the Not So Christian and Me Show. Until next time, remember that no matter what you're going through, God will see you through. Stay blessed up. Bye.
Bye bye now.